Right, it's time to do business. Emmanuel about JFS here. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hi, Izzy. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay. All right. You want some
Are you
information?
looking at buying one of those affordable houses?
Well,
$15,000. I think it's
not
affordable.
bad. It's not bad.
It's
idea,
well within your reach.
and a very good investment for the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining me on Business Tonight. Rising government expenditure and revenue threats have forced the Bank of Ghana to keep its policy rate unchanged at 16%. Speaking to journalists in Accra, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, maintained that it was prudent to hold the rate because of recent developments. George Biafri was there for Joy Business and has the rest of the story.
Addressing journalists today, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana maintained that looking at all these developments, the right thing to do is to keep the policy rate at 16%.
The committee was concerned about continued revenue weakness, which requires expenditure adjustments to contain a larger than projected budget deficit. It will help underpin investor confidence in the Ghanaian economy and reduce the burden on monetary policy.
The Statistical Service recently rebased the inflation rate by 7.8%. So it was the expectation of everyone that the Monetary Policy Committee will respond to this by cutting the policy rate. But the governor maintained that he also wanted to observe things before he reacts to this development on the economy.
I think first we've just seen the 7.8 new measurement coming in. We need to understand what all of that means. We need to look at the history, use the new basket to reconstruct the history and be able to tell where we are.
On the Ghana city, the governor maintained that they have what it takes to actually stabilize things on the market, and investors shouldn't be worried about the recent forecast by the Economic Intelligence Unit that the city could depreciate further.
We think that we have relatively strong buffers. At the end of the day, it depends on the buffers that you have. Normally in August, September, the central bank reserves will be at its lowest point. This year, our reserves are fairly strong in August and September, even before the cocoa 1.3 billion inflows come in. So if anything at all, we are in a better position to deal with any adverse shocks to the exchange rate.
On the banking crisis, this is what the governor had to say. He believes that the cleanup has been completed and things should stabilize going forward.
Now, the reason that we said that we see some improved confidence, it's relative, is the development in the deposits of the banking sector. When I was reading the press release, we gave you what had happened in terms of deposit mobilization by the bank. So if you see increased deposits of the banking sector, that in itself indicates that people are putting more money in the banks.
Businesses have in recent times complained that credit has been bad, but the governor believed that it is just a matter of time that the commercial banks will start responding by dropping their interest rates, thereby ensuring that this could be a thing of the past.
The only sticky point is the case of the NIB, where the capital requirements appear to be larger than we had originally envisaged. So obviously NIB is a bank that we need to do some more work on. But remember, it is a state bank, so the considerations are very different.
Well, for some, the governor has said it all with respect to the outlook for the economy and how he expects things to look like going forward. Some may say that could bring some assurance to the market and ensure that interest rates come down, since the Bank of Ghana's main focus is about inflation targeting to ensure that inflation are kept at a lower level and the interest rates are also quite low. Well, we'll wait to see whether the market will indeed respond to some of the assurances that is given out here today. From the High Street here in Accra, this is George Biafri reporting for Joy Business.
Let's now hear from an economic analyst who is also the editor of Go Street Business newspaper, Toma Emire, on what he perceives of the MPC's decision to maintain the policy rate at 16%.
Remember what caused the most recent exit the most recent financing problems government had was the last time they reduced the rate. Was that in January or so? All right. And you remember the governor alluded to it here, that because we are still vulnerable in terms of the mix of foreign investors holding on to our domestic debt securities, we don't want a situation where you reduce the rates and because of that they now exit and we start having financing problems. Right now, the monetary policy rate is actually being dictated largely by our exposure to foreign investors who are still holding on to about 26% of our domestic debt, if you go by what the governor said. Even it's come down from a peak of 36% in terms of their holdings. It's come down to 26%, but that's still quite a lot. Sure, that's more than a quarter of our domestic debt in issuance. All right. Now, what they're afraid of is that if you lower the rates, and when foreign investors now look at the yield on Ghana's debt securities, of course, it's much higher than what obtains in their home country. But then again, there's a very heavy exchange risk.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of SG Bank Ghana, Hakeem Huzani, has commended government for maintaining the policy rate at 16%. In an interview with Joy Business at the sidelines of the second draw of the SG Deposit and Win promotion in Accra, Mr. Huzani indicated this will continue to boost confidence in the economy as the public will increase deposits and accessibility of loans for businesses.
The fact that the monetary policy rate has been maintained will not fundamentally affect our ambition or our activity. It is normal that on the government space and policy to manage and to monitor the monetary policy rate as they are monitoring globally and they're targeting the decreasing of inflation, etc., which is their role. As a bank, our role is to finance the economy from individuals to corporates to the government, and this job we are doing it well. The deposits of our clients are directed to finance projects and to finance the activity of our customers. So we are pursuing our strategy of growth. We are continuing to improve our market share, and we are continuing to serve our clients in general. So
some people think the cost of borrowing from the commercial banks these days is quite high. So ordinarily, stakeholders in the banking sector would have expected that the policy rate decreases so that the ordinary person can borrow and do other activities. What's your take on that?
It depends with which you are comparing. If you compare the actual rates to what they were 2 years ago, you will see that there is a very important improvement. Is it right? 2 years ago, the borrowing of money would cost minimum of 4 or 5% more than what it costs today.
Time now to take a look at some tidbits of business news making headlines. Ghana's debt stock now 205.5 billion cedis by the end of July 2019. Details coming up.
New data released by the Bank of Ghana shows that the country's total debt stock has hit 205.5 billion cedis by July 2019, representing 59.4% of GDP. The data shows that between May and July this year, Ghana's debt stock increased by 5.5 billion cedis. By May 2019, the debt stock was at 200 billion cedis. The government has abrogated the contract awarded to Great Consolidated Diamonds Ghana Limited in 2011 to mine diamonds at Akutia for breach of contract. The company failed to fulfill its core mandate of paying $17 million to the Divestiture Implementation Committee, as well as rehabilitating and refurbishing facilities at the mines to enhance production. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies is calling on government to reduce taxes on liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) to make it cheaper and more accessible for Ghanaians as the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) seeks to fully roll out the cylinder recirculation policy. The policy, which is aimed at reducing and possibly eliminating LPG-related accidents and fatalities, also seeks to improve the current LPG usage in the country from 25% to 50% by the year 2030.
And that's it for the first segment of business. I'm coming back with more business after it.